the main chamber. It is my library, my study, office. This is where I write my books, whatever you wish to call it. As you can see, the theme around here is science. It is a simple phrase, I love science. When I was a little boy, I used to take things apart in my house, you know, and especially in my dad's garage. I would take it apart and put it back. And you know, since I was young, I would not always put it back correctly. You know, he would get mad. I remember one time I took off the axle of the carriage and I put it on wrong. So when he drive away, he fell over. You know, and he break his toe, and you know, he scraped himself up, and then he yelled at me for like 3 hours. You know, and like, Jules, do not ever do that again. Do not touch my carriage. I said, okay, father, I will not touch your carriage. But I touch everything else, you know. So, as I got older, you know, I became better at fixing these things, and sometimes I figured out that, you know, they could be made more efficiently, you know. So I took some things apart and I put them back together in a different way, and they worked better. So, you know, my dad was proud of me. You know, I fixed a lot of things, and this is how I began my science. You know. Also, science for me, it is an adventure. You know, it is a learning experience, and it is not, you know, just reading a book or something. That's why all my novels, you know, there is some sort of journey involved. You know, people going and discovering things. Speaking of science, you know, since I'm a scientist, I guess I'm what you would call a nerd, you know. So therefore, I'm not that well with the women and friends and things like that. I remember one of my first dates. Yes, this is a hateful memory. I was taking out this most beautiful woman in Paris. You know, her name was Jolie. And we were going to this expensive restaurant, and you know, 5 stars and all that. And blew all my money, foolish man, you know, for this woman. So, and I take her there. I bring her these special gifts, right? It was a little glass box, this big, and within this box was 1 mole of helium atoms. It was, you know. Since it is a noble gas, it has perfect electron configuration. The mole is a perfect quantity. So, I'm serious here. You know, it was to symbolize her beauty and her perfection. You know, she was, you know, in perfect dimensions. And she said, "Bring me an empty box, Jules. What is this? You know?" I explained to her, and we get into a big fight and stuff. And she says, "You should comment on my hair because I spent 4 hours making it look nice for you." I said, "Why you spend so much time on your hair if I don't even notice it, you know?" So we got into a big fight, and she left, and you know, the night was ruined, and I went home very sad. And it took me a long time to get over it, you know. Eventually I did marry my wife Honorine, but at the time it was not really for love. It was more for status, you know, because how can the great Jules Verne, you know, not have a wife, you know? So, but after we lived together, we came to love each other, and it worked out very well. You know, she appreciated my science and who I was and things like that. Also, I remember later, she made me go to this feminist seminar, like where these women would speak, you know, about what they would like, more rights and things like that. So, you know, I was skeptical, and I thought, you know, it'd be a bunch of women saying, "Ooh, look at us, we are women, we deserve the right to vote," you know. So, you know, but I didn't want to go. I said, "You know, how could you do this to me, Honorine? Look at me. I'm so sad." And so, but I did it out of respect to her because, you know, she loved me, and I want to show her the respect that she gives me. So I went, and to my surprise, they actually had like these women, and they were making presentations, right? They had a writer and a scientist, and like the writer had some portions of her books, you know, to give out, and you could read them. And the scientist made some presentations, and you know, when I heard the scientist, I was like, oh, science, you know. So I was listening very carefully, so you know, I could spot any mistakes she was making in her theories, you know. So I could say, "Oh, you silly woman, you failed. Get off the stage. Go home and make your husband a hot meal or something." So, you know, because at the time, everyone, you know, they thought like that. You know, the women are not supposed to be educated. They stay at home, they cook, they clean, and you know, that kinds of things. And the men go out on these scientific adventures and things like that. That's why in my books there are no women. There are just the men going out exploring and having status and things like that. So after I talked with these women after the seminar, and you know, I learned a lot. It was very enlightening, you know. So Also, another thing that I had in common with these women were their views on violence. I am a very passive fellow, and I think this violence is unnecessary. We have so many wars these days, like the people, these politicians, they see that land and they're like, oh look, it is close to the sea. I'm going to take that land and it make my country more rich because we can ship things and things like that. So they say, oh, I'm going to take 50,000 of my men and go kill all of your country and take that land for me. Haha. No, why do you have to go and go killing people? We just skip to the violence and it's not right. Also, people, they come up to me and they say, Monsieur Verne, where is the action in your books? I say, what do you mean, the action? I read about people going into the center of the earth to a volcano with magma and things like that. What is not action-packed about that, They say, no, where's the lies and the deceit and the killing and battles, Monsieur Verne? The inciting things like that. I say, why do I have to have violence in my novels to make them more entertaining for you? I was talking to this man, and I say, this conversation, would it be more exciting if I stab you in the face, or, And he says, no, Monsieur Verne, that is just savage and rude. I said, yes, exactly. Violence is violence. It is the same everywhere, and there's no such thing as nice violence and, mean violence. You're hurting someone, you're killing them or something. It's all the same, So people, they expect these things of me. And I tell them, no, if you don't like my books, don't read them. They are to learn and become more in one with science and my ideas and things like that. So, oh my goodness, I am late for a lunch appointment. I'm meeting my friends, Dumas and Vern. Excuse me. You see this, and my limbs, it means to move out of the way. They always say, why are you so late? You always go around rambling about your science. Anyway, au revoir, my friends. I will see you later.